Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Now on Fox 50, a fire at a Morrisville apartment. We're going to show you the huge hole left in the building. The large fire had a crew response.
And we're tracking a cold front that will roll through tonight. I'll show you what we'll see ahead of it, including warm temperatures and windy conditions.
And the search for answers. We are staying on top of all new developments out of the Potomac River this morning after that mid-air collision. What crews are doing today to learn more about that crash.
Plus, a little lighter news today as we talk about Battle of the Blues. What you need to know before one of the biggest rivalries in college sports. Obviously, yesterday, Wednesday, really tough days, so we want to make sure that we also have some uplifting stuff, things people can look forward to here. Thanks for joining us here on WRAL News and Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Happy Friday. We've made it to Friday. I did hear a little bit of that thunder this morning when I was getting ready. You didn't hear any of it?
I was asleep.
I was doing my makeup and I said, I think that's thunder outside. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has a look at all the rain that's kind of surrounding us right now.
I definitely heard it. It is now lifted northward along with our warm front. And now we are in what we call the warm sector of this storm. A solid flow coming out of the south today will bring windy, warm conditions. But then the cold front will follow suit. It rolls through overnight tonight and then will be dry but cooler over the weekend. From now all the way up until, say, 7 or 8 o'clock, it'll be fairly dry, but it'll be cloudy, windy, warm. We'll see our rain chances really going up between 7 and 8 o'clock. This is overnight tonight. So between 9 and, say, 3 a.m. is when we'll see the bulk of the rain. And that will move west to east across our area with some heavy rain. I'll show you how much we could see coming up. This is a look at North Hills where it's fairly cloudy. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few breaks in the clouds this afternoon. Right now it's cloudy across the area, 52 degrees. Very warm this afternoon. Temperatures near record highs at 75. We're going to walk through hour by hour and show you when it becomes the windiest. Coming up, Ken.
Well, it's what's happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. Traffic definitely picking up on this major route at Durham I-885 and TW Alexander Drive as they move the camera to show you exactly what's going on and give you a wider picture. From our live sensors right now, you can see it's going to take you about a 4-minute delay going into Durham in just a couple of minutes in the southbound lanes of 85. In terms of the other major routes into the Bowl City, we're looking at 501 coming in off from Infinity Road, just a 9-minute delay for you folks there in the northern Durham area. As for the capital city, really the only troubled spot, US 1, Wake Forest. Our friends, you will need a 9-minute delay coming into the capital city. There are a couple of things that we want to bring your attention to. This one is across on Newbern Avenue in the westbound lane near New Hope Road. We're not seeing any delays in that particular area, but if you're navigating that intersection, just be mindful of those first responders working that scene. There's another serious crash on Durley Road in the southbound lane near Edwards Mill. Again, we're not seeing any delays in the area, but as first responders work that scene, just be careful navigating that particular area. But I tell you what, these lanes coming in from US 1 this morning with Wake Forest, give yourself some extra time. And you're heading out in the car, tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
We're following breaking news as crews are on the scene of a fire at an apartment in Morrisville. Let's bring in Brett Neese. He's there in the WRAL breaking news tracker. Brett, you just got an update about the number of people who are out of their homes today.
Yeah, Chris, officials tell me 15 people are going to be displaced after this fire. But the good news is nobody's hurt and all pets are accounted for. I'm going to show you the home here. This is the apartment complex. This is the Huntington Apartments here in Morrisville. It's right off of Morrisville Parkway. And you can see that massive hole in the roof. And you can actually make out the helmet from one of the firefighters that are up there as they start to work to investigate what exactly caused this fire. But this is a massive hole that is in the roof of this building. 2 apartments were damaged by fire, 6 more damaged by smoke and water as they were fighting the fire. We have Sky 5 video from above the scene to show you what this looks like from another vantage point. And this all happened just before 5:30 this morning. Just an awful thing for these residents to wake up to here on a Friday morning. We talked to Marshall Crawley. His girlfriend lives here. He was staying with her, and he talks about what it was like to wake up to this.
I've put on the first clothes I can find. I go outside. I hear sirens, like, when I'm answering the phone. I walk outside. There's already several fire trucks here. I come around the corner, and it's a pretty big fire. And I was like, oh, this is a fire.
So now you're looking at video from the backside of this building, and you can see even more damage there as crews responded as quickly as they could and put this fire out as quickly as they could. Dozens of firefighters, so many fire trucks that were here at the scene battling this. Now investigators will go inside this building, try to determine exactly what caused it. I'll stay on top of that part of the story. Live in Mooresville, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
And more breaking news this morning. We are working to learn why police investigated at Liberty Star Road in Wendell for hours this morning. Law enforcement from Wake County Sheriff's Office, Zebulon, Knightdale, and Wendell police got to the scene around 2 o'clock this morning. Police say nobody was killed, and more details will be released later on.
This morning, teams will be back in the Potomac River searching for remaining bodies of victims from Wednesday night's crash near Reagan Airport. What you're seeing right now this morning is a live look as they are out there on the river. Investigators say 67 people died in that crash, and 14 bodies have not been recovered. Today, teams will begin salvaging the American Airlines jet and the U.S. Army helicopter. The National Transportation Safety Board hopes to have a 30-day report soon. And new this morning, the black boxes from both the jet and helicopter are now recovered. The NTSB is now evaluating those flight recorders that were recovered.
Today, American Airlines will resume flights from Wichita to Reagan Airport. Airline passengers across the country have renewed concerns about safety. WRAL's Destiny Patterson joins us live from RDU. And Destiny, flights to and from Reagan from RDU, they have also resumed.
Right. I've spent much of the morning talking to travelers here. I've spoken to at least half a dozen people. All of them tell me that they don't expect any issues today, but I have noticed people holding on to their loved ones, embracing a little bit tighter this morning before they head into the TSA security lines. Of course, for more than 24 hours after that plane crash now, the American Airlines flight from Wichita to D.C. is expected to resume today. The airline confirmed that to CNN. The people that I spoke to, of course, offering their condolences to the people impacted by the plane crash, but many of them say that they are not worried about flying.
I feel like it's one of those things that nobody ever thinks is going to happen to them until something happens to them. But I don't want to live life in fear kind of thing. I also need to get home. Yeah, so you have to do what you have to do, I guess.
I did also talk to another couple, and they say that they're actually expecting things to be safer now, expecting people to be on higher alert following that tragedy. Here at RDU, they have also offered their sympathy to the other airports and the U.S. Army. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, live at RDU.
Now, the American Airlines team aboard the plane in the collision was based in North Carolina. We have a look at the captain, the pilot, and 2 flight attendants who lost their lives. Flight attendant Ian Epstein was beloved by many passengers. There have actually been a bunch of people sharing that he had a great sense of humor through pictures and videos. And that includes this video of him singing to passengers last year.
We hope you enjoyed our hospitality. Marry one of us and you'll always fly for free. Bye, everybody. Stay safe. Thanks for flying with us. And we'll see you again soon on American Airlines.
And Lori Marciando shared this photo of Epstein when he worked on a flight that she and her husband took 2 years ago. And she says his smile, his positivity you see here, infectious.
You just knew he was loving his job. You couldn't even tell he was working. He was just really made people very relaxed.
Pilot Jonathan Campos once instructed at Epic Flight Academy, and they wrote, quote, he was a skilled and dedicated pilot with an undeniable passion for flying. Captain Sam Lilly's dad shared these photos with us, and in a Facebook post, he says that Sam was getting married in the fall. And flight attendant Denasia Elder, she was from Charlotte. Friends tell us that she leaves behind a husband and 2 children.
That's just so devastating. At least one of the passengers on the flight was also from Charlotte. Friends of Wendy Schaefer shared this photo of her in a GoFundMe. The page confirms she leaves behind her husband and 2 sons, ages 3 and 1. And we'll stay on top of new developments in the investigation throughout the day on TV and online. Download the WRAL News app to get push alerts straight to your phone. And for any other interviews and video you may have missed, check out the YouTube page at WRAL.com.
Just before 3 o'clock this morning, a car hit someone on Western Boulevard in Raleigh. This happened near the intersection with Kent Road. What you're seeing here is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Investigators say the man who was hit was taken to the hospital, but no charges are expected. And WRAL is working to learn what led to that crash.
Cary police are looking for two people they say robbed a gas station. Investigators say two armed people robbed a Handy Hugo's yesterday. They stole cash, snacks, and cigarettes before firing a shot into a display. Nobody was hurt.
One of college basketball's biggest rivalries is on the court tomorrow night. It's the Battle of the Blues. You know what I'm talking about. The UNC Tar Heels travel to Cameron Indoor Stadium to play the second-ranked Duke Blue Devils. And tip-off for that game is at 6:30. And don't worry, WRAL, we've got you covered on Tobacco Road before and after the game. You can look for live reports from Durham and Chapel Hill beginning on our 6 o'clock news tomorrow night. And you can tune into WRAL News Plus as soon as the game ends for live reports from our crews. You can find WRAL News Plus on the Channel 34 on the air, Spectrum 1257, and of course the WRAL app.
Fighting the opioid epidemic, why doctors say a new FDA-approved painkiller has no risk of addiction and overdose.
Plus, a border country tax battle. What President Trump's plan for tariffs on Mexico and Canada could mean for you, the consumer.
And I'm watching our next front that comes in this evening. Ahead of it, very warm and windy today. I'll let you know what to expect as you're heading out. It's 8:13. We take a look across our area. It's gray out there. We had a warm front lift through overnight last night. There were some showers. Those have all moved out for now. The clouds are looking a little thinner there in Fayetteville, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get closer to lunchtime, we see a little bit of sunshine. The main thing we're going to see during the daylight hours is warm, windy conditions. Here's a live look at Apex. A little bit damp there still, as well as Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. Still a little wet there on the streets in downtown Raleigh as well, due to the rain that we saw overnight. That rain is lifting up into Virginia and away from us. So again, from now until around 7 or 8 o'clock, it's all going to be about the windy, warm day. And then this cold front comes through. That front will roll through this evening and bring us the potential for some scattered storms, some brief heavy rain. Here's a look at sort of the big picture with this. We're going to see that cold front swinging through. It'll be a relatively narrow band of rain, but it may sit over you for a couple of hours tonight. And of course, it could affect your plans this evening. We take a look at Futurecast. Rain is to our north right now. Futurecast does not really show a lot of breaks in the clouds this afternoon, but I still think we have a good potential to see at least some sunshine. Starting at 5 o'clock, we begin to see some showers pushing in. I think we'll end up being fairly dry for the evening commute. But by 8 o'clock, the thunderstorms rolling in from Roxborough to Durham, and then by midnight across most of the viewing area. Then we see the back edge of it sliding out and eventually moving out by around 3 a.m. Behind it will be clear but cooler for the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. Expect an average of 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain with the system. And of course, so once it moves out, we're looking pretty good for the weekend. Green light for getting outside. Sunny and mild Saturday with low 60s. Sunday, mid 50s, which is actually pretty close to normal for this time of year. But again, we'll be nice and dry. Groundhog Day is also Sunday. The groundhog may actually see its shadow, which usually means more winter. There's not a lot of winter in the forecast next week. 70s Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. I want to start down east a little bit, give you a live look at I-87 and Wendell Falls Parkway. The westbound lanes usually 64, right? Westbound lanes moving away nicely. In terms of the other major routes heading into the capital city, here's what we're looking at. Just a 5-minute delay for our friends in Wake Forest coming into the capital city. Over in Durham, the real trouble spot is for you guys in northern Durham coming in on 501 this morning. You're looking at a 9-minute delay, just about a 5-minute delay if you're using Highway 98. There are a couple of things we want to bring your attention to this morning. This crash just happened on Six Forks Road in the southbound lane near Sawmill Road. We're not picking up any delays in that particular area, but if that intersection sounds familiar to you, if you're navigating that area, just be careful with some, as the first responders work that crash scene. We're monitoring this crash on Newbern Avenue, the westbound lane near New Hope Road. Here again, we're not seeing any delays, so nothing to worry about. That crash is probably off to the side of the road, but just be careful as you navigate that intersection. This is a crash on Durley Road in the southbound lane near Edwards Mill, probably in the clearing phase right now, but I just thought you should know about it. You're getting ready to head into the car. We want you to get in the habit of tuning us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
Teams recover the body of a man in a Durham pond as authorities search for a person who ran into the water. Police say they tried to stop a stolen vehicle Wednesday morning near Rowena Avenue. Investigators said the suspect stopped the vehicle, got out, and then ran into the pond. Now, authorities have not confirmed whether the body is that of the suspect, but we'll keep staying on this story.
Tomorrow, President Donald Trump plans to impose a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico. That could change the prices that you see at the grocery store. Canada and Mexico are some of the country's biggest trade partners. That means the tariffs could affect prices on all sorts of items. President Trump's pick for Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says that will not happen. Economists say tariffs can help domestic producers by pressuring American companies to buy from them.
2 additional women have been added to Sean Diddy Combs' federal case. Federal prosecutors filed an indictment and expanded the allegations to include the latest victims. Combs is currently in federal custody awaiting trial. He's charged with racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution with a former girlfriend known as Victim 1. Combs is also charged with sex trafficking of Victim 1. Combs pleaded not guilty to those charges.
14 members of the U.S. figure skating community died in the D.C. plane crash, including 6 from a club in Boston. They include Spencer Lane and 13-year-old Jenna Hahn. They were in Wichita for a developmental camp. Their mothers were also on the plane with them. Their coaches, 1994 world champions Vegina Shikova and Vadim Naumov, were traveling with them.
I really can't believe that it happened, because I picture them right here. The coaches always stood at that entrance. The skaters just flew all over the ice, doing remarkable things, inspiring all of us.
They all attended the U.S. Figure Skating Championships in Wichita last weekend. At the arena where that competition was held, a mourner left a message on the ice, 5432. That was the flight number of the plane.
This morning, divers will be back in the Potomac River searching for more pieces of the aircraft. This is a live look at that scene where boats are in place to secure that area. Now, we talked with first responders from the Triangle, including Durham's fire chief, who's performed rescues on the Potomac. And he described the many challenges workers face in their immediate response. This includes darkness, cold water, and strong currents.
Water rescues are difficult. It's not a 5-minute response. We're not driving down the street. These boats have to... The teams are not going to be on the boat probably at the time of the call, especially at that time of night. They're going to have to respond to the boat, get on it, pre-flight it, get down the river to it.
And when drones and sonar technology come up short, teams may have to turn to cadaver dogs to help them search.
Additional support for small business is coming to Western North Carolina. Governor Josh Stein will be in Boone today to make an announcement regarding supporting small business recovery after Hurricane Helene. Details are limited on what the governor will reveal today. Stein will speak at the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce at 1 p.m. Look for details this afternoon on WRAL. And attorneys in Western North Carolina will provide free legal advice at clinics today and tomorrow. Legal Aid of North Carolina is offering assistance with government agencies, insurance disputes, banks, landlords, and more. Today's disaster recovery clinic is in the town of Black Mountain, that's east of Asheville. You can stop by Snead and Stearns Attorneys at Law on Church Street from 9 to 5 p.m. A clinic will be held in Hendersonville tomorrow.
The FDA approved a new painkiller that's not an opioid, and it's bringing hope in the fight against the deadly opioid crisis. Chanley Painter takes a closer look at this.
A new pill is raising some hopes as public health experts keep combating the nation's deadly opioid crisis. The Food and Drug Administration on Thursday approved Vertex Pharmaceuticals' painkiller called Jurnavix. It's designed to treat moderate pain without the risk of addiction and overdose, often linked to opioid medications.
The FDA has just approved a medication for pain following an injury or surgery. We call that acute pain. That is not an opiate.
While opioids are effective at reducing severe pain after surgery or injuries, they can lead to addiction. Doctors say this is because of the process the drugs can trigger in the brain that releases the feel-good chemical dopamine. Jurnavix works differently.
They tried a new approach here by looking at mechanisms by which the drug works that's elsewhere in the body besides in the brain. So it really works on the peripheral nerves, less so than like an opioid that would work centrally in your brain.
Advocates say the pill could help doctors prescribe fewer opioids. It could also provide more options for people who can't take other types of medications for pain.
Each of us are different, and we need as many options as possible to manage acute pain for our patients.
Meanwhile, common reported side effects include nausea, itching, and headaches.
I think in time, there's a chance that this science going in this direction could possibly replace opioids, but it's a little premature to say that.
That was Chanley Painter reporting, and the pill actually comes at a list price of more than $15 a pop. The opioid crisis was the focus of a WRAL documentary. It's called Crisis Next Door, the fentanyl epidemic. It's available right now on WRAL.com. Just look for it in the documentary section.
In Harnett County, Cape Fear Valley Health will break ground on a new mental health resource for teenagers today. The health system is building an adolescent inpatient psychiatric unit in Lillington. It'll be located on the campus of Central Harnett Hospital on Brightwater Drive. The facility will have 16 inpatient beds, and the goal is to have it completed by December. Coming up, hostages returning home. The plans for Chapel Hill native Keith Siegel to return home as the first American freed from Hamas.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good Friday morning. Your time is 8:26. I'm Chris Lovingood. Let's go ahead and go to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner to get you your Friday forecast.
We had a warm front lift through overnight with some scattered storms. That rain is in Virginia right now. So we're going to see a warm, windy day today. But tonight, our cold front slides through, and that will bring us a good chance of rain and some thunderstorms tonight, starting at around 8 or 9 o'clock in the triangle. And we'll see it finally shifting out after midnight. But we're still looking at a nice weekend. We take a live look at Zebulon. It is cloudy. The flags are pretty still right now, but it is going to be a very windy afternoon. Right now, temperatures are ranging from the mid 40s to low 50s, and we'll climb up into the 70s this afternoon, looking at a high of 75 with winds gusting up to 30 or 40 miles an hour, Ken.
Happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, a live look at I-40 and Aviation Parkway. Traffic moving at a nice steady clip this morning. No delays to report. As far as other major routes into the capital city, you're looking at a 4-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest on US 1 this morning, so keep that in mind. Over in the Bull City, really a lot of things are just no delays whatsoever. 501, just a 4-minute delay. I'll have an update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
The crew on board the flight to Reagan National during the mid-air collision was based here in North Carolina. We have a look right here at the captain, the pilot, and 2 flight attendants who lost their lives. WRAL is hearing from the crew's family as well as passengers who were affected by the flight attendants' positive attitudes. A pedestrian in Raleigh was hit by a car on Western Boulevard this morning. It happened near the intersection with Kent Road. Investigators say that an adult was taken to the hospital after being hit, but no charges are expected. We are working to learn more about what might have led up to that case. Next on Fox 50, the Battle of the Blues is tomorrow. How fans are gearing up for the rivalry matchup.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Now on Fox 50, a Morrisville apartment fire. We're going to take you to the scene and give you a look at the aftermath.
And here's the big picture. We have a cold front that's back to the west. That's going to come swinging through tonight, but ahead of it, very warm and windy today.
And a collision investigation. We're bringing you the newest developments from overnight in the midair crash above the Potomac River, including the search for answers and 2 black boxes recovered. And we do have some lighter news, including Battle of the Blues, the excitement that's building in K-ville as the Blue Devils prepare to take on the Tar Heels tomorrow night. A lot of people are anticipating that as you are waking up this morning watching WRAL News on Fox 50. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Chris Lovingood here. We do have a look at your weather forecast. Elizabeth, some people may have heard that thunder last night. I did not. I was sleeping like a tiny child.
Nice. I did hear it early this morning. It is well to our north at this point, but there's more on the way. In between, a strong flow out of the south keeps us very warm and windy today. The cold front heading our way is crossing Tennessee right now and rolls in here late this evening. We should be dry through the evening commute, but right after dinner time, we're going to begin to see some of that rain rolling in. It'll be heaviest between around 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, but it doesn't really have an impact on our weekend. I'll show you coming up. Here's a live look at Apex. Looks like the clouds are beginning to thin a little bit. You can see the sunshine here on the buildings. I would not at all be surprised for us to see some sunshine today. That will only help to see our temperatures warming up even more. 52 is our current temperature in the triangle right now. It will be windy and warm, temperatures in the mid 70s. 70s. We could see gusts up to 40 miles per hour. I'll show you the timeline for our wind coming up. Ken?
All right, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We start outside I-40 Aviation Parkway. Traffic moving nicely at a steady clip. No delays to report it. But as far as other major routes coming into the capital city, our friends in Wake Forest, you're looking at a 4-minute delay coming in on US 1. Heading over to the Bull City, the real trouble spot we were just seeing, the folks coming from northern Durham, like Roxbury Road, you're looking at a 3-minute delay. That was up to 5 minutes just a little while ago, so things are getting a little better. We just had this crash reported from our friends at Raleigh Wake 911 on I-40 eastbound near Gorman Street. We're not seeing any delays in the area, but if you're navigating eastbound I-40 this morning, that southern loop of the Beltline, just keep that in mind. This Six Forks crash right near Sawmill Road, we're not seeing any delays in the area, but just be careful as you're going through that intersection. Also, this crash on New Bern Avenue in the westbound lane near New Hope Road. Again, we're not seeing any delays in the area, but if that sounds familiar to you in terms of your morning commute, just know that you'll be running into some police activity. We want you to get in the habit when you're leaving the house, tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
Still following that breaking news right now as firefighters are on the scene of the aftermath of a fire at an apartment in Morrisville. What you're seeing right here is video from Sky 5 of what was actually not too long ago. We have Brett Neese there and the WRAL breaking news tracker. Brett, we've seen the aftermath, but now you actually got new video of the fire.
That's right, Chris, and it will show you all of this damage, how this damage happened here at the Huntington Apartments, and I want to get right to that video. This is brand new viewer video of someone that lives in this area, near this area, that sent this in, and just take a look at all of the fire, these flames just taking over this building. It is incredible to see this much fire at this building, and we see all the damage in the aftermath of it, but to see the fire itself, it really just gives you pause and just shows you how incredible it is that nobody was hurt in all of this. No one was hurt. 15 people will be displaced out of their homes in this building, but everyone's accounted for, and everybody's pets are also accounted for. So these fire crews from both Morrisville and the town of Cary's fire departments came in. They got here as quickly as they could right after 5:30 when this happened, and got this fire knocked down as quickly as possible. We talked to Marshall Crawley. He was staying here with his girlfriend. Her place is one of these first floor apartments at this building, and they woke up to this fire this morning. Listen to how he reacted to this.
It's pretty surreal. I mean, this is the kind of thing where it's like happens to other people, not people I know. So it was, quite a shock to wake up to.
Quite a shock, and they were trying to, save their pets. They had 2 cats and a dog. They were able to get the dog out. The cats were still inside whenever they got out of this building, but they are okay as well. Now, investigators will go into this building here throughout the rest of the day and start to figure out what exactly caused this fire. I'll stay on top of that part of the story. Live in Morrisville, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
Also breaking this morning, we are working to learn why police investigated at Liberty Star Road in Wendell for hours this morning. Law enforcement from Wake County Sheriff's Office, Zebulon, Knightdale, and Wendell Police Departments were on the scene around 2 o'clock in the morning. Police say no one was killed, and more details will be released later. This morning, recovery crews in D.C. are looking for the remaining 14 bodies of victims from the mid-air collision Wednesday night. In total, 67 people died in that crash. D.C. Fire and EMS say that divers will work with NTSB today to begin operations to salvage the American Airlines jet and the U.S. Army helicopter. The NTSB also says it hopes to release a 30-day report soon. New this morning, for the first time, we are actually seeing the black boxes recovered from both the jet and the helicopter. The flight recorders are now being evaluated at the NTSB. The investigation is just beginning, and of course, federal investigators are going to look at a range of potential causes of that collision. Today, American Airlines will resume flights from Wichita to Reagan Airport. Airline passengers across the country have renewed concerns about safety. WRAL's Destiny Patterson has been at RDU all morning long, talking with people as flights there are back to normal.
I've noticed people having longer embraces before heading into the security lines. Here at RDU, it is primarily business as usual. Of course, we're 24 hours after that plane crash. The American Airlines flight from Wichita to D.C. is expected to resume today. The airline confirmed that to CNN. But people tell me that, of course, the victims are top of mind, but they trust the systems and they're not expecting to have any issues today.
I feel like it's one of those things that nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to them until something happens to them. But I don't want to live life in fear kind of thing. I also need to get home. Yeah, so you have to do what you have to do, I guess.
Another couple that I spoke with today, they say that they actually expect things to be safer following that tragedy. Here at RDU, the airport has also put out its sympathies for the other airports and the U.S. Army. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, RDU.
The American Airlines crew on the flight that crashed was based in North Carolina. We do have a look at the captain, the pilot, and the 2 flight attendants who lost their lives. And this morning, we are hearing from the family and friends of these people, including Samuel Lilly, the pilot who was just 28 years old. Lilly's father shared photos of his son on social media. He says it was so devastating to lose someone who was loved so much. His sister talked about her brother's love of the job after finishing flight school.
My dad helped him go to flight school, and then he worked really hard on that. It was a lot tougher than he thought it was going to be, but he pursued and kicked butt through it, and then he loved what he did.
Lilly's family says he was going to be married this fall.
And Jeff Hogan at the WRAL Live Center. Chris, we continue to learn the names and the life stories of more of the people who were killed in that mid-air collision. This is Kaya Duggins. I want to give you a little bit of background information on her, a former Miss Kansas contestant, a civil rights attorney. She earned her law degree from Harvard, where she also served as president of the Harvard Legal Aid Bureau. Had multiple bachelor's degrees from Wichita State University, and she was flying to D.C. on her way to prepare to become a law professor at Howard University. The university is sharing its profound sadness in this loss on its Facebook page. Katie Couric also weighing in as well, saying absolutely devastating.
And just knowing that we're going to hear more and more of those stories. Thank you, Jeff. We've learned another flight approaching Reagan National the day before the mid-air collision had a close call with a helicopter. According to air traffic control audio, the flight was forced to abort its first landing on Tuesday after a helicopter flew near its flight path. Incidents reports show that in the last 3 years, at least 2 other pilots reported near misses with helicopters while landing at the airport. And of course, we will stay on top of this story the entire day and on TV and online. You can download the WRAL News app to get push alerts straight to your phone. And for any other interviews and video you might have missed, you can check out our YouTube page at WRAL5. Just before 3 o'clock this morning, a person was hit by a car on Western Boulevard, and this happened at the intersection with Kent Road. What you're seeing here is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Investigators tell us that a man who was hit was taken to the hospital, but no charges are expected. WRAL News is working to learn what led up to that crash. Chapel Hill native Keith Siegel should be released tomorrow with the next group of Hamas hostages. NBC News reports Siegel is expected to be the first American set free. He and his wife Aviva were taken hostage October 7, 2023. She was released 51 days after the attack. One of college basketball's biggest rivalries hits the court tomorrow night. You know what I'm talking about, the Battle of the Blues. The UNC Tar Heels travel to Cameron Indoor Stadium to play the second-ranked Duke Blue Devils, and tip-off for that game is at 6:30. And don't worry, WRAL has you covered all up and down Tobacco Road before and after the game. You can look for live reports from Durham and Chapel Hill beginning on our 6 o'clock news tomorrow night. And don't forget, tune into WRAL News Plus as soon as the game ends for live reports from our crews. You can find WRAL News Plus on Channel 34 over the air, Spectrum 1257, or the WRAL app. Your time is 8:40. Wildfires burn on 3 fronts in western North Carolina. Containment is improving on the largest of the threats. We'll talk about the conditions that are aiding fire crews in their battle. Plus, a reason to run. The Krispy Kreme Challenge is going to put legs and stomachs to the test. The long-standing run returns to Raleigh tomorrow. We got a preview. And you know what? It's heating up today as you get a live look at Wilson. See a couple other whirly gigs whirling around there. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will track the potential for record highs and our chance for rain.
.44, tracking first a warm front that crossed the area overnight last night. A little bit of rumble of thunder in the middle of the night. And it's going to be warm and windy ahead of our cold front that will follow. And that comes through overnight tonight. So we'll walk you through everything to expect. We'll check out dual Doppler 5000 radar. It is dry right now, and it will stay dry most likely through the evening commute. So what we're going to be dealing with for the daytime hours is a little sunshine mixed in with some cloud cover and warm, windy conditions. This is lunchtime here. We push it ahead to 5 o'clock. It's likely that we'll stay dry through the evening commute, but keep checking in with us just in case that timeline happens to change. By 8 to 9 o'clock, we start to see the rain rolling into the triangle, and then it's out of the viewing area around 2 to 4 a.m. After that, we're done with it, and it's dry for the rest of the weekend. But we are looking at a cloudy start right now. We had some rain in the northern counties earlier. At lunchtime, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies. I do think that we'll have a little sunshine peeking through from time to time. Very windy, very warm. And then, of course, this evening and overnight, we'll see scattered storms that roll through along with the front, and some of that rain could be heavy at times. Here's a live look at Apex, and it does look like the clouds are thinning out just a little bit. It was a little wet earlier. It looks like the street there is drying out. It is 52 degrees, but it's a fast warm up. We could hit mid-60s by lunchtime, by 11 o'clock, and 70 by 1 o'clock. We're really going to see those temperatures changing fast. It's 49 in Fayetteville, 50 in Rocky Mount, and 45 in Roxborough right now. High temperatures 75 in Raleigh. That's 2 degrees from the record high of 77. And Fayetteville's record is 78, so Fayetteville could end up tying a record. Right now, winds are about 5 to 10 miles per hour, but likely to get rather gusty as we get into the afternoon. Steady at about 20, 25, gusting 30 to maybe even 40 in some places. Plenty of warmth in the forecast. A little cooler on Saturday at 63 and 55 on Sunday, but we're back into the 70s then next week. And once we get past tonight, we are rain-free in the rest of the 7-day forecast.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Confirmation hearings for President Donald Trump's cabinet are moving forward at the U.S. Capitol, where you're looking live this morning. Health and Human Services Secretary nominee Robert F. Kennedy Jr., FBI Director nominee Kash Patel, and National Intelligence Director nominee Tulsi Gabbard all faced Senate committee yesterday. Each sought to clarify or downplay past stances that have criticized the government, actually the department that they've been chosen to lead. Kennedy pushed back on remarks that he is anti-vaccine, saying that he is simply asking for awareness and investigation. President Donald Trump extended condolences to the families of the people who lost their lives in the mid-air collision. But then after that, he suggested without evidence that DEI policies at the FAA and the military may have contributed to the mid-air collision.
And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so. This was
The American Association of People with Disabilities responded to this, saying in a statement, quote, FAA employees with disabilities did not cause last night's tragic plane crash. It is extremely inappropriate for the president to use this tragedy to push an anti-diversity hiring agenda. Doing so makes all Americans less safe, the group said. Firefighters are making progress on wildfires in McDowell County. These wildfires, in fact, 3 of them, are burning in that county, in the western part of our state. The Crooked Creek fire has burned nearly 250 acres and is 55% contained. Winds decreased and the humidity has increased, helping firefighters make progress. The North Fork fire is smaller, about 60 acres, but it's 0% contained. No one has been injured in either fire, and only 1 home has been damaged. It's been 5 years, actually today, since the start of the COVID pandemic in the U.S. On January 31st, 2020, the U.S. government's Health and Human Services declared a public health emergency for the coronavirus. The CDC says more than 1 million people died in connection to the virus. The emergency declaration officially ended May 11th, 2023. All right, so we got your donuts, we got your ice cream. All the things are ahead this weekend in the Triangle. And WRAL lifestyle editor Kathy Hanrahan has all the details and out and about's best bets. So, Kathy, let's start off with breakfast, the most important meal of the day, right?
It is. And Saturday is ice cream for breakfast day. It's a big holiday in my household. We have a list right now on WRL's family section featuring places to really go and enjoy that. But Two Roosters has locations in Raleigh, Durham, Wake Forest. They're going to have Bowberry biscuit sundaes, as you can see there, and cereal flavored ice cream. So many good things.
Seeing that video, it makes me want to go, oh yeah, that looks pretty tasty. So if ice cream isn't your favorite way, right, to start the day, you could always enjoy some donuts, maybe a dozen while you're running down the street. The Krispy Kreme Challenge, that's what I'm talking about. What time does that kick off Saturday?
So runners are going to start about 8 a.m. on Saturday at NC State's Memorial Bell Tower on Hillsborough Street. They're going to run 2.5 miles down the street on P Street, hit that Krispy Kreme, and then eat a dozen donuts. Then they're going to run back. It's pretty crazy. They're going to have lots of costumes. You can always carry your donuts if you don't want to eat all of them. The best part about this whole thing is that they're going to raise money for local children's hospitals.
Good cause there. Definitely, I'm sure it's a little stressful on the body, but the children are worth it, right? So also this weekend, the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences, they're hosting the annual Astronomy Days event. Talk a little bit about that.
This is a great family-friendly event, and it's free. There's going to be scientists, hands-on activities, a lot of fun. This year's theme is the solar system missions, so expect lots of stuff about the stars. The event is Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Lots of events to enjoy, and you can, of course, get a full list by going to WRAL.com and searching the keyword out and about. Thanks, Kathy. Your time this morning is 8:50. What time am I at, right? The soccer tournament is returning to WakeMed Soccer Park in Cary for a third year this June. New for 2025, an expanded women's bracket in the 7-on-7 tournament. The women's side goes from an 8-team tournament to a 16-team tournament. The grand prize for winning the men's and women's teams will be $1 million each. The TST is June 4th through 9th, and tickets are on sale right now. 5 on your side is always tracking the recalls that are important to your family safety. Keely Arthur takes us through some of the big alerts that you're going to want to pay attention to in this recall report.
Up a popular face cream from First Aid Beauty. A lot of ultra repair cream in coconut vanilla scent that was supposed to be quarantined was mistakenly sold. Those jars have now been recalled because they did not comply with current good manufacturing practice. Next, a warning for parents to stop using this baby park sling carrier. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says it can fail to hold an infant inside. The seller, Shein, has not agreed to reimburse customers. Thousands of space heaters could be a fire hazard. This recall affects Vornado VH2 whole room heaters. They were sold on Amazon from August through October. The power cord can partially detach and start a fire. Fitbit is being fined more than $12 million for how it handled a recall. The company waited years to recall its Ionic smartwatch, even though it knew the watches had a defect that caused them to overheat and burn people. Fitbit settled with CPSC, agreeing to pay $12 million and submit to federal supervision. And finally, a dire warning about dangerous car defects. 1.1 million car, trucks, and SUVs on local roads today have a safety recall that hasn't been repaired. About a quarter of those vehicles have 2 or more open recalls. Check out WRAL.com to see the apps and resources that will help you check for an open recall on your vehicle. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
Music stardom came together in solidarity in LA for the wildfire victims. Green Day kicked off the Fire Aid benefit concert in Inglewood last night, and they had a surprise appearance with Billie Eilish. Other artists performing included the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pink, Stevie Nicks, and Gwen Stefani, returning with her band, No Doubt.
Los Angeles!
We're talking about more than 20 artists making their appearance at the benefit concert, and it happened at 2 venues in LA at the same time. Proceeds from the concert and donations during the show will go toward rebuilding communities and preventing future fires in the region. Hope they all get the help they need. Before we go to break, we do have a look at your winning lottery numbers just in case you missed them. And don't worry, we'll get you another check on weather and traffic in just a sec.